Right, so I think this thing, drop it on the floor. I think this thing is doing something weird, and it's gotten like rust that started to conduct into it. It doesn't actually look like rust, it looks like heat has burned this. So what I think has happened, this is a lightning discharge type of thing. And they're good to have because they can prevent problems. But I think that we're conducting across that when we shouldn't be. And who knows what the hell it looks like inside of it. So, unfortunately, where it was at, we don't get a lot of rain in Arizona, but it was still in a position where it wasn't hard for the rain to get into it. And so I've been having intermittent issues. And originally it didn't look like this, but it felt like it was like not fitting really tight on here. I made some changes, and anyway, I'm gonna end up swapping this out. And right now, you can actually see where I pried on it to make it closer. Let's just see if the radio tunes now. So it still won't tune, so that tells me there's another problem, and it isn't this. And I'm wondering if it's this MFJ tuner. And it might be that I'm just sick and fatigued and tired and just not thinking straight, because I just noticed that I had this on coax 1. I didn't have it on direct, and I think I tried to tune it earlier with this in line. However, this looks bad, so we don't want that out there anyways, but it should work now. And I was trying to do FT8 the other day on this radio, and I was just having nothing but problems. I couldn't get it to work. And then also another thing that was happening was I was seeing some RF that was getting into the USB drivers, the USB cable or something, causing a sound card issue with JTDX. And let me see here. So, I've not found a good radio for FT8. I don't want to use any of these because I know they're susceptible to getting RF on the USB port. And you make one wrong mistake and you're going to cook the board back there. And it happens all the time. And unless you have a perfectly resonant antenna on the bands that you're using, there's always the chance of getting RF into the radio. 7300 particularly, I had one in 2019 and I damaged it in 4 months. It just quit reading the USB. And I traded it to a friend, and he used it for a while, and the finals went out on it, and he sent it to Scott Malcolm in Washington, a guy that used to work at ICOM for a really long time. And Scott couldn't even get the part for it. And I think about 2020 or 2021 was when it only lasted about a year. The radio was dead after a year. So Scott was able to replace the finals, and he gave us some really nice information about the finals. And he said, basically, in a nutshell, I'm just going to summarize this, that this is probably one of the most reliable radios that ICOM's ever made, but it has an Achilles heel, which is the ALC, or the auto biasing circuit, or something like that. It gets compromised when RF gets into the radio, which can come in through the power cord, the microphone connector, or the USB, or any other type of things in there. And what it causes it to do is go nuts, and it cooks the finals. And so you'll hear stories about guys that have replaced the finals in their 7300 a couple of times, and they're not doing full power on FT8, but they probably are getting RF into the radio, and it cooks it. So it's a great radio, but you have to really run a really tight, clean station if you're going to do FT8 and have it connected to things. So, I mean, because it is in fact a computer. You know, it's an FPGA chip in there, and a USB sound card and other things like that, and they don't always take well to, millivolts of RF. Anyway, I don't know about the ruggedness of the 710. I'm not going to put it to the test. I have so many other radios that would be perfectly fine for FT8, so I choose not to use these for that. But anyway, so we need to see if the antenna problem has anything to do with this, because I had this radio wouldn't tune any bands except for 15 meters, so we're going to jump over and do that. I'm listening to these guys on the SDR while I'm doing this, because I'm going to get on there as soon as I'm done, I think. Anyway, okay, let's see if it'll tune 40. It will not. This radio doesn't like anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some coffee and get some work done and come in here. I mean, like I said, I got 4 elements on 12. Then got 8 dB gain.
That's why I think something's wrong.
Into Europe and fire up the radio and see.
Yeah, you want it with that kind of. I'll tell you what. To me, that's the way to do it. A beam like that, and no amplifier. Yeah, no, it's just alpha.
I'm going to try another thing too. I'm going to remove the MFJ antenna switch. So I fiddled around with it and figured that it on 80 it tunes from this frequency, 3857, all the way down to, sometimes if you inch your way up, it'll go a little higher. But all the way down to like 3.625, somewhere around there. Now, I think, yeah, so it's just like, I just think the tuner in this thing is just absolutely terrible. So, I don't know what they did or if there's something wrong with this radio, but my 1200, that tuner in that thing was way better than this. This tuner just sucks. Absolutely sucks. It won't match anything. And I know that I'm using a loop antenna and I'm feeding it with coax, but like relatively, my impedance at the feed point is like 70 ohms, somewhere around that. I'm feeding it directly. There's no balance. There's no nothing. I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, and it's going to be, you know, when I look at it with the Nano VNA, it shows to be really good in a large part of this band. But, I mean, there must be something else that the radio doesn't like. But I'm able to tune on a lot of the other radios where this one just will not do it. And I can't tune. Let me move that back here. I'm going to go into the other mode. Okay. So I think what I've seen was it would tune really high up in the band. Apparently not at all on this radio. So that's really annoying because yeah, it absolutely sucks. And I think my 710 tunes all these bands, but I can't remember. I wonder if this thing is on the wrong antenna. Holy moly. It's on the wrong antenna because you have to switch the antenna for each damn band. That's annoying. Okay. I really don't like this radio, so basically won't tune that. So when whatever antenna it's set to, that's what it memorizes. Good Lord. It's absolutely obnoxious. There's no reason that it's that crappy. I'm going to change this back to antenna 1. Where it goes 2? Okay. Anyway. I would say they must have like a SWR limit of 2-to-1 or something on this thing. Okay, let's turn this one on. Now, I've had several self-proclaimed experts come on the channel and leave comments claiming that the 3000 is a better radio, better receiver, etc., than the 710. And with no factual basis. I mean, I haven't done any kind of comparisons, but this radio is much higher on the list on Sherwood. And from my own ears, it's a much better receiver. It's better than any radio that I own on receive. It gets rid of noise better than any other radio. So I don't know where people think that the 3000 is a better receiver than this. This is much newer technology, newer DSP chips. This is very prehistoric. I mean, you look at the display on it. This is old. This is old. This doesn't even keep up with the 756 Pro series. Seriously, it does not. And I mean, you can hate me for saying that, but I'm sorry. The 756 Pro series is a better scope for sure. It might have a lesser receiver, but you're going to have a better experience with the scope. And the transmitted audio on the 756 Pro series is far superior to that of the yaesu. But this radio runs circles around the ftdx3000. Let's stop kidding ourselves. It's number 3 on the Sherwood list. You got to be nuts to think that this radio from 2012 is going to even come close to a radio from 2023. I mean, it's, it's much newer. And as the radios keep coming out each year, they keep getting higher and higher on the list. So, I mean, it's not like they made radios back in the day that are better than radios today. There are some radios that are made today that suck so bad that older radios are better than them, but in reality, this is a much better radio than that. And almost any new radio any radio that's made 10 years newer than this is going to be better than that. Almost any radio. So anyway, let's just do a little experiment here after my little rant there. We got these guys on here. Let's go up to where it didn't want to tune, which would be right here. And it tunes just fine. Really quickly, too. That's the other thing about the 3000. Boy, the tuner is slow. Now, this radio's tuner is not real fast either. It just keeps going. The fuck is up with that damn radio? Let's go right here. Okay, so it won't go any further than that. Let's see where it stops at. I'm going to say it stops somewhere around here. Okay. So, sometimes you'll go backwards and it won't tune as far. So it tunes to 3879 instead of 3860. That's not a big deal, okay? I'm not concerned with that. So let's see how low in the band it will go, which I think should be 625 if they're similar. Okay, let's try 5 more down. And it goes further down too. Let's go 10. And it goes even further down. It doesn't want to go that far. All right. Where does it start? I'm going to guess it's really close to here. Yeah. So we got between 3.608-ish and way up to the top of about, what, 70? So that's a little bit more range. It's not a lot more, but my main concern is it tune 40? It does not. All right, that's cool. Let's go down here. Okay. So where it might work on 40 is going to be really high up in the band. And the other radio will not tune 40, not at all, not even a bit. Okay. Now I know that the antenna is resonating outside of 40 really good. And so it was a compromise on the loop antenna. You make it really long, and there's a spot where there's a second, like, resonance. It's not a good one, but it's like there's two compromises. You can make it shorter, and then it wants to resonate at the bottom of 40, but then you are really at the top of 80. So it's just like it's really tricky to get it like where you can have both. Like, you're just gonna have to make a compromise, unfortunately. Let's see how low it goes. All right, so I don't think it's going to go much further here. Let's try 40. Okay. I would say I'm going to go 45. So you at least get 7245 up to the top of the band. You don't get anything on that one. I don't know why. Okay. Well, let's try 20, because remember, it wouldn't tune 20 at all. It tunes 20. We're not even going to really worry about, like, too much on 20. I'm going to go to the bottom of the band and see if it covers the bottom. It doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Okay, go up to 18. It doesn't like that. It should do 12. Yep. Sorry, I'm not holding the camera straight, guys. I'm still really sick. It doesn't like 10 meters unless you get way up to the top of the band, which is cool because that's where I use it. It's not going to work here, but it should work here. So you can work some 10 meter FM. Now let's see what we get on 6 meters. It won't do 6. So, I mean, it's a better tuner. It's faster, but there's still, you know, it's an older radio. I don't particularly care for the tuners and the yaesus because they don't work on receive. They stopped doing that. I'm not sure at what point. This radio has the option to turn it on or off. You see where it says RX, tuner, TX. You can... I forget how you do it. It doesn't matter anyway. There's a way to turn it on and off. This is really good radio. I'd love to have it set up for FT8, but I'm going to have to get special cables. And the DB9 connectors, I hate dealing with those things. But it might be a better idea. This radio is really kind of a disappointment to me I think it's because I'm spoiled by modern radios. I don't think it's a bad radio, but there's just, it doesn't fit me. Okay? I think it's a good radio, but there's just too many things that I don't like about it. Definitely don't like this digital display above the VFO. I want it on my main display, just like the 1200. The dual VFO isn't really, I don't think it's dual receive. Like, I think this one is the same way. But on certain radios like the 1000 and the ICOM 756 Pro series, you can actually listen to two different places at the same time. So there's supposed to be two receivers in here, I guess. I don't know. But it doesn't allow you to listen to them simultaneously, as far as I can tell. But I don't know. I've not really dug too deep into this thing. I've just never liked it. And it's, it's good receiver, but like the band scope and all that stuff just really disappointing. I usually just leave it off. Another thing too is the meter. I have to use the meter like this because I want to read power and SWR at the same time. I prefer the look of the needle, but this gives me a lot more information. I do think the roofing filters on it work pretty good. But anyway, yeah, the tuner is piss poor. Now this one here, tuner's pretty bad on it too. Very similar, but at least you can use it in receive. So helps brick wall some outside noises outside the band you're listening to. That's the thing. That's why you want the tuner to work in receive, so it can brick wall anything outside of the band, above and below. So anyway. So I guess there's probably nothing wrong with my antenna. It's just that I'm expecting too much out of this radio.